women are prone to complaining and advising, sometimes through criticisms or sometimes through force, to genuinely want to change their husbands and boyfriends. If you meet every woman in a relationship or every woman in marriage, there is something she wants to change. If she doesn't see it change, she is not happy. As they keep complaining, men also begin to resist, because they feel that you are demeaning them and you are trying to let them become what they don't want to be. So women in natural tendency has a problem with the time the man closes from work and come home, has a problem with the way the man talks to women, have the problem with who calls, have a problem with that. Sometimes all the things they are complaining about, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. But the effect is that when a man sees you that way, you will fight him forever. It will be difficult for him to change. Men always translate such complaints to women. They are not being critical. They are not being naggers. They are only trying to fix a problem. But men translate it as, you want to change me, I won't change. So sometimes what you are complaining about, you mean good, it's true. But deep within the man, he feels that you are not the one to change. It's natural. And then that leads to the woman's issue. Now the woman begins to attack. My husband does not listen. So the moment a little problem comes home, Semekai, you don't listen to anything. You don't listen to anything. I've been trying to tell you, this attitude of yours, this thing you have been doing, this character of yours, these decisions you were taking, I told you. What they didn't know was that they should have gone through the right procedure. It's been 6,000 years. Women are not changing. And it's been 6,000 years. Men too are refusing to change. Only Adam listened. After Adam, all men. You can't treat a man like a boy. Your husband is not your son. When you are addressing errors around your son, don't use the same attitude you used to address errors around your son. In addressing errors around your husband, he will resist it. Even your son at a particular age, if you try, he will resist. A man knows cheating is wrong, but how you address it will let him know whether I should change or not. He knows very well cheating is wrong. God has said it, everything, but if only you say it. When he goes to church and pastor says it, oh, I will change. His mother will call him and say, stop what? It's true, the man can change. But if only you, the wife, goes to say it, when you don't take care, you increase the fuel. If you're a wife and you see something wrong with your husband, be wise. In dealing with a man, you don't use criticisms. You will attack his ego and it will react. And in its reaction, he will keep doing the very thing that you don't like. The best you can get is that he will do it at your blind side. It's either he will do it in your face or he does it behind you. But to stop there is a lie. Anybody that you attack, criticize, and promise you, I will stop, and you are claiming he has stopped. It's a lie. If you have been attacking him to stop drinking, you can smell the drink, but you tell his communion. He never drank since I promised you. You are prone to talking. You are a woman. You are prone to talking. You are prone to correcting with your mouth. You are prone to trying to build people, manage people with your mouth. But when it comes to dealing with men, be careful. There are many things, how you speak it will let the person harden up in what he's doing. The best you can get is that he will continue to do it, but do it behind you. So already we have men complaining, women talk too much. And women to complaining, men don't listen. So if the one you want to listen to you is saying you talk too much, listen to me, men listen, but they have their interest. And if you are wise, you will inculcate what you want to say around a conversation on their interest. There are some men, even if they are sleeping and they hear NDC, MPP, they sleep. That is their point. That's their interest in talking. Women talk about people. Men talk about things and activities. Men hardly talk about. If a man will talk about a person, it's because the person is at the center of an activity they are interested in. Men talk about football. If they will talk about a person, it's somebody who is good in football. So in trying to get a man's ear, you must work around their interests of communication. Every man is money conscious, but there are those who are deep, investment conscious, cryptocurrencies, anything finance, it awakens them. If you check women's conversation very well, it's always awesome. Personalities, beauty, passion, love, romance, issues regarding family. It's beautiful. But men are career driven. They are things driven. There are men that, as it stands now, the only interest in his life is to buy a Benz. And you must know who men are. There is nothing you will say that will move him. He wants to buy a Benz. If you keep on with your telenovela kind of conversation, his heart will be driving to where Benz are sold, where Benz are discussed, and how people, where Benz are calculated. Money is calculated to buy Benz. So whilst you are talking to him, he's on his phone. Turn it on. And if he realizes that you are not interested in the Benz, the day he buys, you are not the first to come and show to you. Men are money driven. Men are things driven. You can't do anything about it because a man feels weak if he is not succeeding. I'm telling you, no matter what, you can do public kissing, public hugging, romance, and affecting the body and affecting his soul. But a Benz can affect his soul. And when the Benz come, he will start appreciating hugging. When a man gets a job he has been desiring for, everything changes about him. But if a man is still in the particular place that his boss is frustrating him, salary is not increasing, no promotion, when he's going to work he is angry, it will affect the home. So if you're a young lady who is married to such a man, your interest should not be why is there not romance, why are there no sex, how is there no this. Your interest is what can we do for you to get a promotion or to get a good job. Why don't you further your education? Why don't you work this thing out? Why don't we do this? Okay, let's apply for this school. You will have the heart of the man. In the afternoon he will call you. I applied for this school. It looks like it's coming. Can we pray about it? Because he has seen that where he's interested. Because listen to me, men are not communication inclined. It is women that are communication inclined. So you women that are communication inclined, you can't force somebody who is not in him to talk. So you have to prepare him to talk. And in so doing, you have to touch his interests to get him talking. That thing is not there. A man can live with his game pad for 3 days. He's fine. But a woman needs somebody to blow to. When you're boy in Ankasa, men are listeners, but they're listening to their interests. You can't marry a man of God and not discuss ministry with him. You will lose him. Something about his heart goes to seeing church done, or sorry, or preaching, or something about his heart goes for that. That is the interest of communication. You need to pick that interest and develop a communication around it. If you love me, you must talk to me. It doesn't work. A man can love you but not talk to you. I can love you, but you will not be my point of communication. He wants to live the rest of his life with you. But what makes him talk is not coming from you. Most of politicians and most of business people, genuinely, their meetings get into midnight, up to 2 a.m., 3 a.m. before they go home. They talk from the time they get to office till the time they go home. Don't tell them that they are irresponsible. something within them calls for that conversation because it is at the center of their interest. Even Bill Gates is still working to get more money. Elon Musk is still working because that is what makes men alive. To see new things come up, to see more money coming, to see something they are building go up, they are happy. So very smart women know how to fix themselves into their husband's interest. And they know how to position themselves in a way that everything runs around them. So there is constant communication. You must love what your husband does because that will be the point of communication. If the one you are going to marry, you don't like what the person does or what he represents and what he stands for, sir, over time the communication will cut. There are men that talk to their secretaries more than their wives because their secretaries have their interests at heart. So they talk to them more. You can complain, you can threaten to leave the marriage, he doesn't care. The secretary will always occupy the most important place. There are men that their secretaries don't have barriers. Even at 2 a.m., secretary can call. And they will pick. Even if they are asleep, they will pick. But if their wives are calling at certain times, they will test, I'll call you back. And no more. Their secretary has their life. Because if they lose that contract, they can't sleep for months. Most men that ends up sleeping with their secretaries, it's not because their secretaries are too beautiful. It's out of appreciation. The secretary can work out things for a contract to hit. Most women that sacrifice their time, their energy, everything to make certain men succeed, they are in high competition with the wives of those men. Not because they are nicer than the wives, but because a man's life is around what he's interested in. And it's always in a thing he's doing. All my daughters here, when you marry, locate the point of interest. Apart from being the wife, be another reason why the man will keep in constant check. Sometimes you married a young man who has started life taking 1,500, 2,000 cedis. Then he goes to buy a land and you realize that his whole heart and interest now is to build. And he keeps talking about it. He keeps talking about it. He keeps talking about it. Do you know what you have to do? You should go to him and tell him that this time that you are busy with office work, I will be the one to handle the land. It will shock you that from that day, you call you 3 times a day. Did you buy the cement? Have they done the block? Have they done this? 3 times a day, 4 times. The same person that used to say that he's busy at office. So if you call, you tell, when I come in the evening, we will talk. You will realize that same person. You can't take it away from men. God made them so. Without them, this world will not develop. It is by their interest things will be built up for this world to advance. When we were building this place, everybody can go. I'll be here looking at the building. The feeling from moving from a tent into such a building, I will just be here watching it. Anybody that calls me, we will talk about it. You will see it in my conversation. Why? Because I'm about to shift to another level, and that is where my heart lies. That's a man. But you see, a woman can be in this stage and not be worried. To her, women value relationship. So a woman can be doing a huge project, and when he comes home, he will not even open it up. Her concern is the children. Concern is the husband. Wow, what's happening? And they can have a solid conversation and never discuss anything about that. Because whatever they are handling is a thing to them. They don't have any responsibility of making it in life. It's a thing to them. There is a natural tendency in them that their greatest blessing are people. Get to know what your husband does. hits the point of interest, he will soon be opening up to you. Very soon, you will be the channel of communication around everything that a man does. I know of a man who is unable to separate from his wife. It's as simple as this. The wife is as the center of everything they are doing. Everything they are doing. The wife sits at one place and control all properties at the same time. You realize that if the man rather needs anything, he calls the wife. You have to sit up. Sometimes forget about the romance aspect. Take up a responsibility that is at the center of your husband's heart, and everything will be fine. And if you're a man and you really also want to build your family, that means that you have to open your interest up to your wife and bring her on board. Bring her on board. If you know you are so much interested in the building that you are building, bring the woman on board if she's interested. Okay, as I go to office, you take care of the contractor. Make sure that designs, everything is approved. This is the way to go.